Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome back. You're watching the Kaiser Report. I'm John, here with Kaiser on the sofa one more time. And we're here to talk to you about a few things that are going on in and around crazy town anymore. When you think about what's going on in our Congress right now with the upset over getting this bill passed and all the lies that are coming out of especially the leftists, such as Schumer, that keep railing on the fact that it's going to be a tax cut for the rich. If they would stop and study how the economy actually works and what has happened in the past, when you put in money to spend money to make money, and this is what Congress does not understand. And yes, they have snuck back in some of their green new scam that they're very proud of over in the Senate and sent it back to the House. And now we have House Republicans that are railing against the changes that were made by the Senate, but no one with a really good plan of action to make this thing happen other than arm twisting across the aisles. None of the Democrats, by the way, so you understand, are voting for any of this bill. There are no Democrats on board in the House or the Senate, so they need to be talked about when it comes to re-electing these people, because it is a darn shame what's going on throughout this country right now, trying to get this bill passed and get the sled moving down the hill so we can get these things out of the way, get the tariff situation straightened out, and move on in progress that is much needed in this country. The Florida holding system that they came up with in the Everglades, better known as Alligator Alcatraz, has just whipped the left into all kinds of craziness and refuting that it's going to just round up just brown people, as some of the news media is trying to convince the public, so they can keep you in fear of everything that this administration is trying to do. We know that there has been a lot of criminals let loose in this country, and if you remember back to when Trump was running, when he talked about, the Hannibal Lectar thing, that made them all crazy, and you'll see a little of that here before too long. To remind you what was said, and then to bring you to current situations, the cannibal that was picked up and tried to eat himself on the airplane to where they had to turn it around and go back and get him medical help. So it's true. There are a lot of bad actors that were let into this country, a lot of gang members, and we know that the Tren de Agua and MS-13 and some of the cartel members that are in this country may be of Latino descent or brown descent, but what we're finding now is the roundup of some of the Chinese nationals that are being caught on a Navy base spying on our ships just yesterday. So don't tell us that it's all the brown people that are being rounded up here, because that's not the case. And you'll, as I said, you'll see that in a minute. But let's take a look right here.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
And now the prison populations all over the world are down. They don't want to report that. The mental institution population is down because they're taking people from insane asylums and from mental institution. You know what the difference is, right? An insane asylum is a mental institution on steroids. Silence of the Lambs. Has anyone ever seen a Silence of the Lambs? The late, great Hannibal Lectar. He's a wonderful man. He oftentimes would have a friend for dinner. Remember the last scene? Excuse me, I'm about to have a friend for dinner as this poor doctor walked by. I'm about to have a friend for dinner.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.
But Hannibal Lecter, congratulations, the late, great Hannibal Lecter. We have people that are being released into our country that we don't want in our country, and they're coming in totally unchecked, totally unvetted, and we can't let this happen. They're destroying our country.
He is celebrating a fictional character there who, one of the most grotesque, horrifying people of in movie history.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now, by the way, if you're going to a rally like that, why are you cheering that on?
He said foreign governments are deliberately sending criminals and mental health patients to the U.S. as migrants. His own campaign has been unable to provide proof for that. I certainly haven't found any myself.
We are going after murderers and rapists and traffickers and drug dealers and getting them off the streets and getting them out of this country because Joe Biden let the worst of the worst come in here. The other day I was talking to some marshals that have been partnering with ICE. They said that they had detained a cannibal and put him on a plane to take him home, and while they had him in his seat, he started to eat himself.
The late, great Hannibal Lecter.
And they had to get him off and get him medical attention. These are the kind of deranged individuals that are on our streets in America that we're trying to target and get out of our country because they are so deranged they don't belong here.
One, two.
You're supposed to say 3.
He seems like a nice guy.
So, yes, there are some really nasty criminal element that are around this country that came through the open border during the Harris border czar and Mayorkas, just tipping their hat to them as they came across and giving them free license to go anywhere in the United States that they wanted to. So, back to the big, beautiful bill that is now back in the House for reconsideration, and God only knows what will take place there today. But Schumer is back at the podium one more time, continuing to carry lies and a lying spree that he is put out this week. This man has lost any relevancy that he may have had in the past, and he needs to come to the realization that what he's telling people is not exactly true, and it should be handled by someone who has the power in the Senate to stop him from spewing these lies. But it continues, and it's driven by his Democratic Party that is now so splintered that they don't know if they want to be Marxist, socialist, or communist, and that's evident every time Jasmine Crockett and AOC and Nancy Pelosi and Schumer open their mouth, along with Hakeem Jeffries, who should in no fashion ever end up being a leader in the House, or for that matter, going to the Senate, as some did when they were embarrassed out of the House, like Shifty Schiff, who now sits in the Senate. Well, that's California voters for you, but my big fear is that California voters will continue to migrate down to Texas and Florida and places of that nature that try to bring their bad voting habits into those states. And it's a design to turn red states purple, and that's what's going on there. So the fight against the rounding up of bad illegals, it just and the taking the side of the criminal element that is in this country is the new Democratic way, and why they think that they can get away with turning their back on the citizens of this country who pay the taxes, go to work every day, and elected them to do a job is beyond my understanding. And if you do have an understanding, let me know in the comments section below, because we're always interested in your comments. We get quite a few comments from our followers, and we have quite a few followers now, and we're interested in what you have to say or what you believe should be happening in this country, this beautiful country, now that we're coming into the 4th of July and the 250th anniversary of this union and republic. So that brings us to talk a little bit about the end of Pride Month. And I guess they got their last thing in on the 30th as best they could with what they called the Dyke Parade, or I'm not sure what it was about, but these ended up carrying signs that they're dikes for Palestine. Do they not realize that if they lived in Palestine or with the Palestinians, they'd probably be stoned for their beliefs or their ways of life? Not that there's anything wrong with any of this, except for the spectacle that they portray and the silliness of lack of understanding of what they're protesting for. And this carries into the university protest, the LA protest, the New York City protest, the No Kings protest. You name the protest, and you'll find that they are the most misinformed, ill-educated people that you can find around the United States that pack the streets for the spectacle that they believe is going to change the mind of everyone that voted in this last election for changes that they wanted to see come about. And one of the biggest concerns the voting population had back in the election was the illegals, the amount of illegals, the 20-plus million people that have entered this country illegally. And it's almost a crime in itself that no one has ever paid the price for. And now we're cleaning it up. We have a way now of getting into detaining these people until we can find a proper home to send them back to. This is not a concentration camp, as news reporters over at MSNBC and CNN are trying to convince the people that this is a concentration camp. These are people that are anti-Jewish. They're anti-American in some cases. They carry the party line from the Democratic side of the aisle. They carry Marxism in their speeches. And it shows every day on mainstream media that you can no longer trust an organization that tried to convince you that the last president that sat in the White House was completely all there and was cognizant when he was not. It was so evident to all of us that watched the news networks that put it up that he had no idea of what he was doing, where he was half the time, and the word salad and gaffes poured from him to prove the fact that this was not a viable president of the United States. And now it's all come out that someone else was operating the auto pen under his name and getting away with what is a crime right now. Yes, we can have hearings about it. And yes, Congress can talk about it. But what is going to be done? What does our Justice Department have on hand for half of the things that we're waiting for answers on? Like the attempted assassination twice of a presidential candidate and then a president. Where are the answers? Where are the cover-ups? Who has what on who that is preventing us from finding out what exactly went on with these pardons, what exactly went on in the White House. Was Hunter Biden running things along with Jill? It certainly does look that way. And why are we not being told the truth? Because we can't handle the truth, is what they're going to tell us. I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Half of America, at least 77 million of us, want to know. Why are the cover-up on these shootings? Why is it that P. Diddy's trial takes precedent over finding out what happened with the lawfare in New York? What happened to the voters of New York that decided to vote in a trust fund baby with communistic Marxist ideas that want to destroy the entire city of New York? If you listen to the police chief this morning on Maria Bartiromo, you'll quickly understand that the police are not behind this guy, and they stand a chance of a lot of people walking off the job if he should be elected, because this man is set to destroy the city of New York. And Pritzker out there in Illinois is in the same boat. These people are not good for the country. They're not good for anything that this country stands for. You cannot force socialism into a republic like this that is built on capitalism, good faith, and faith in God. These people are godless. There's a true point. You want to talk about anti-Semitism. This guy should be the ringleader of it that's running for New York mayor. Listen, Eric Adams in New York was a former policeman. He understands law and order. He's done a pretty good job. And all in all, he should be considered to stay in position. That's my view. And I'm sure it's a lot of New Yorkers' views that are now running into Florida to try and buy property because they all will bail from that city. Anybody with a monicum of sense would bail from that city if this guy gets elected. But it's incredible. And the fight against rounding up illegals will continue in New York, according to Chipmunk Face Hochul, that wants to keep running interference against the Trump program to round these people up. Take a look here.
To forget about him, but Ron DeSantis is still governor of Florida. He took the Comfy Couch hosts on a tour of the concentration camp that he's building in Florida in order to round up people, brown people, and throw them in a camp because he doesn't want them in Florida. Surprise, surprise, the economy of Florida is going to be severely harmed by rounding up brown people who...
What?
By rounding up brown people who, by the way, all over this country, Latinos are afraid to go to work. Anybody who is perceived or looks Latino is afraid to go to work. I know people.
What an idiot. Oh, what a loser.
Isn't that ridiculous coming from a major news network? And once again this morning on all the news networks, you'll hear the same word being used. I think it was Morning Joe this morning that got all up with Al Sharpton to explain to us how astonishing this, that, and the other thing was. Al Sharpton doesn't know his rear end from a hole in the ground. And if you think that you're going to hang your opinions on what he tells you, boy, you got another thing coming. I just have two words when it comes to Al Sharpton: Tawana Brawley. If you're not familiar with it, look it up. That's his legacy. And now they got him sporting great clothes on Morning Joe. They're propping him up. He's 100% behind this communist that wants to run for mayor, by the way. And he's out promising him that he'll garner all the black vote. That's interesting, isn't it? So let's talk a little about this ending of Pride Month. Pride Month is ending on June 30th. It has ended. It ended with this parade we just talked about. And the new Pride Month is taking place yesterday and July 1, where we're going into our 250th year, and the pride of the American flag flies high, both at both ends of the White House as well as most of our homes. And this is what you should have pride in. It has nothing to do with another flag or disinterested people that just do not understand why their lifestyle's not mainstream. Live your lifestyles the way you want to live your lifestyle. I'm all for it. But do not make the rest of this country live through your preaching on why we should accept everything that you believe is okay when you will not accept what our government or our churches and preachers have to say to you. On both sides of that argument, there needs to be quietness. Live your life. Support and praise the God of your liking, and leave the preaching out of how to live someone else's life. Do whatever you want, but parades making people think that you're more of a number than you really are in the wrong, in my estimation. But let's take a look here.
This afternoon, hundreds taking part in the Dyke March, which made its way through the neighborhood. KTVU's Zach Sauce was there for that march. He joins us live tonight in the Castro. Zach.
Yeah, and while that march certainly was a celebration, similar to a number of other Pride events we've seen this month, there was also a political component to it, a chance to push back on policies seen to be impacting the LGBTQ plus community and others. Pride celebrations in full swing in the Castro as this year's Dyke March wound its way through the neighborhood.
It has been really heartening to see how many people are turning out to support each other.
The march, which kicked off at...
Wait a minute!
That's not right.
Not everyone knows that I'm gay. Like, I do understand as someone who is non-binary, it is hard. Like,
yeah, would you say you're non-binary?
Yeah.
Do you love Palestine?
Yeah, why not?
Even though you wouldn't be allowed to be yourself there?
I feel like they're not supposed to judge, even if they have a set mindset. It is actually very haram in the Muslim culture for them to judge, where even they themselves should know.
But there's not a single Muslim state where it's legal to be gay.
That is true. I never thought about that.
That is a good one. I don't know if it's coming through on the air, but it's very loud.
Casinos. As a reporter in Vegas, so I love seeing this come through the visuals here. Oh, flexibility.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr. President.
That's enough.
Mr. President.
Is there something special about today?
Well, I know the apron is a bit much, dear, but I am doing my best to blend in.
No, there on the calendar. Someone's drawn a little hard right above today's date.
Yes! Yes! Oh, yeah! Can you feel that, buddy? Huh? 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 I have exorcised the demons.
Well, that was quite the spectacle, wasn't it? Anyway, it's coming to a point now where we're going to have to take an exit into Stupid Town and show you some of what's going on today and have a laugh or two, because if you cannot laugh at the situation that is taking place around the country and the world today, then you're going to be sick. You have to find humor in it to survive, and we do that here every day. So take a look at the exit to Stupid Town.
Recently asked about the term globalize the intifada. Do you condemn that phrase?
That's not language that I use.
Do you condemn that phrase, globalize the intifada, which a lot of people hear as a call to violence against Jews?
I've heard from many Jewish New Yorkers who have shared their concerns with me, especially in light of the horrific attacks that we saw in Washington, D.C. and in Boulder, Colorado, about this moment of anti-Semitism in our country and in our city. And I've heard those fears and I've had those conversations. I don't believe that the role of the mayor is to police speech.
Quickly, for the people who care about the language and who feel really concerned by that phrase, why not just condemn it?
My concern is to start to walk down the line of language and making clear what language I believe is permissible or impermissible takes me into a place similar to that of the president who is looking to do those very kinds of things, putting people in jail for writing an op-ed, putting them in jail for protesting. Ultimately, it's not language that I use. It's language I understand there are concerns about.
I used to say we will never have a socialist in this country. No, but we'll have a communist. I mean, he's a communist.
People said to me, aren't you lucky that healthcare became the central issue of the election? I said, no, we weren't lucky. We made our own luck.
Like the stock market.
People are not going to get over not having access to healthcare, not having the rural hospital open, not having their children with disabilities have the needs that they should have, not having our children with special needs having what they need. No.
Yeah, you already said that.
All I want to do is to defeat this bill or make sure there's a price to pay for the Republicans, because this cannot be. That cruelty, that stupidity is something that we must fight, and there must be a pay. And there must be a pay for them going down that route.
You threatening me?
Do you think this could be the defining issue that helps Democrats flip the House in 2026?
Well, we fully intend to win the House. We only need 3 votes. I would like 30.
She's a drunk.
Do you believe that America should be a colorblind society? For instance, should people be treated differently based on their race? It's just a yes or no question.
It's not a yes or no question. People should receive the services and the support and the remedies that are owed to them.
That they should be treated differently based on their race.
They should receive the remedies that are owed to them because of the systemic racism and injustice.
Do you believe that race should be considered in employer hiring practices?
I do not believe that white people are the only qualified people for.
I didn't say that. Nobody said that. And you're not going to intimidate me by slandering me as a racist. I'll take that as a yes. Which race do you think should be preferred?
I do not think that a single race should be preferred.
Well, you just said that you believe that race should be considered in employer hiring practices.
Who
gets to determine which races are preferred? If 2 different children are applying for college, let's say one is white and one is black, and there's 1 slot available, should they be evaluated based on the same objective criteria? Test scores, for instance.
Yeah, no, I can't answer that question for you as a proponent of holistic admissions.
I'll take that as a no.
You're a fraud.
Well, that sums it up for the stupidity today. Today's stupidity was a funny one, but we're going to bring us to an end for this Wednesday, and I'd like to tell you that if you're planning anything for the 4th of July or for the weekend for cookouts, keep our sponsor here in mind, and that's Lazy J Farms and Butcher Shop, located in Kingsport, Tennessee, on Bloomingdale Road. And if you call over there today, tomorrow, and put in a special order for an extra thick cut of steak or some beautiful filet mignons for the grill, their hot dogs, the Chicago-style hot dogs, are the best hot dogs you'll ever taste. No fillers, no junk in these things. It's pure beef hot dogs. And give Butch a call over there and tell him, I'm planning a cookout. What do you have for me? His cheeses are wonderful. The eggs are great, farm fresh. The pork products are great. And the chicken is the tenderest, tastiest chicken that you can buy. So give them a call today and tell them Kaiser sent me. And he'll take great care of you. And with that, we're going to wish you all a great hump day here. It's Wednesday. Remember to pray for our government. Remember to pray every day for the heads of state around the world that are embroiled in wars and conflicts, that they come to their senses and come sign a peace agreement with the great Donald Trump. And let's get it going, and let's get back to the way the world should be and is meant to be. Friends across the nations, God bless you all. Stay safe, stay strong, and stay tuned to the Kaiser Report for some more fun and reports on what's going on. God bless. Bye-bye now.